On behalf of the Executive Council, I want to welcome us to today's symposium. Yesterday, we had Dr. Bedokun, we had Ms. Indubisi from the International Office. We had, yesterday also, we discussed explicitly on methodologies from Dr. Bedokun, funding from Ms. Indubisi from the International Office. And also we discussed about security issues, which our PRO, Mr. George, and our treasurer, Mrs. Opelua, led in terms of the security bulletin. So today also is the second day of the symposium, which also ends at the symposium for now as we have planned. Remember, this is an ongoing stuff that we agreed on at the last General Assembly meeting. And I want to thank every members of our Consuj for keeping faith with us, for following our leadership. It's a joint leadership, and there's nothing we are doing today that it's from us. It's a joint effort from everyone. If you are not there, we are nothing. I want to say thank you so much. Today's symposium promises to be great also. Our speakers are ready. We'll be talking about publications from our thesis and our dissertations, and which I believe everybody wants to publish, and you don't want to wait till maybe after 3 years after your PhD to start publishing, or maybe 2 years. You want to know how you can begin to do that from now henceforth, and at the same time also maximize that. So today also we'll also be looking into finances, financial talks, financial bursaries and funding opportunities for 2022. When are we to begin to apply? What can we apply? When are we begin to apply? And all the and all other things relating to funding. Yesterday, most of us were asking questions about maybe URC, DES. Today we are going to be, our speakers is going to be answering that. So today also we are going to be looking at opportunities beyond UJ. Life does not begin and end in the University of Johannesburg. And also, as international students, we have to think outside the box beyond what brought us to UJ. So our speaker is also ready for that, to enlighten us, to stimulate our thinking regarding that, and also ensure that, okay, this is the opportunities that are abound outside that we can tap into. And like we stated in our advert, as executive, your progress is our own concern, and that is why we are here, to guide, to push, and also to contribute to your progress as international students in South Africa. So I want to plead with us, like I did yesterday, let us pay attention, let us listen very well. If we don't listen, we can ask questions. If we don't, and if you have some preconceived questions that you want to trash, the symposium is also a family gathering. We are all international students and having the same background. So please let us pay attention, let us listen, and let us ask questions very well. So on behalf of our grand patron, Professor Peter Ulubambi, and on behalf of the Executive Council, you are welcome to today's symposium. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, a great one. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you. So your leadership has been very impactful, and we need to also commend you for that. So the next item on my list here is a welcoming address or a goodwill message from the representative of UJ International students. So we were to have that yesterday, but due to time constraints, we shifted it to today. So we'll be having the representative of the UJ International students now for his goodwill message. Thank you. or like, is he, are we still expecting him? I think so. I think so. I think we are still expecting
How will
him.
join us when we would
Okay, okay. So we'll just let us know the moment he joins us, so like we can take his goodwill message and what other information you need to pass to us. Yes, without wasting much of our time, I think our speakers for today are people of great experience. They understand these things. Every single thing we have saddled them with one responsibility or the other, they understand and they have passed through all of those things, right from Mr. Kwe Uluwakiradewo to Ms. Dudu Mbata to Dr. Kingsley. Every one of them have been, resourceful to us at one time or the other, and there is no, without any doubt, we've seen how impactful they can be. And it's on that note that I'll be welcoming Mr. Okpeoluwa Akinradewo, who will be taking us on discussion that has to do with, publication from theses, our dissertation, and issues that has, about funding opportunities in that regard. And I am very sure that, just as the president has said, we just need to listen very well so that we grab every single thing we want to grab. And it is in the process of our listening that we will be able to ask questions about clumsy areas in how to publish, make publication, how to, maximize our opportunities in this whole thing. And Mr. Okolu Akradewo is around here, and it is over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segun Ajayi. Good morning, everyone. I do not take this opportunity for granted. I count it a privilege to be saddled with this responsibility of taking us through this presentation today. I believe everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Also, if I may ask, are you seeing the full presentation or you're seeing the presenter view?
The presenter view.
Okay. How about now?
I think it's okay now, sir.
Oh, okay. So once again, let me say good morning, everyone. My presentation today would be on conversion of your thesis or dissertation to paper publications. And we're taking a look at it from the perspective of a PhD scholar. My name is Okpeoluwa Akinradewo. I'm a PhD candidate in construction management here at the University of Johannesburg. I did my master's program here at the University of Johannesburg also, but in the field of quantity surveying. So I'll be speaking on my experience, personal experience as a student who has been able to make publications from my, first of all, my master's dissertation, and also currently on my PhD thesis. So basically what I'll be discussing with us this morning would be personal experience, which has assisted me also in my way of doing things as a PhD candidate. And for this presentation, I'll be talking about the following contents. I'll start with a short introduction, then I'll give us an overview of what publication is before delving into the main discourse. Sorry. Apologies for that, please. Okay, then having done that, I will move to how to extract paper publication from your thesis or dissertation. Then we'll quickly look at the do's and don'ts of publishing before talking about the publishing process. And then we'll wrap it up from there before taking questions. So by introduction, we all know that as postgraduate students or students generally, we are tasked with the responsibility of carrying out an academic research. And while it is understandable that most of us do this research just to pass the module or just to get a grade and move on with our life, there is more to it that we are missing out on. Number one, we miss out on the opportunity to give our research a recognition outside the four walls of the school. And also we miss out on the opportunity to put our name out there for people to see while benefiting the public from what we have been able to do. So like Benjamin Franklin said, either you write something worth reading or do something worth writing. The responsibility of getting your name out there, getting yourself to be remembered long after you are gone, relies majorly on you having something to publish, and your publication can always come in different forms. Although most people would say writing is not something you do easily, writing is not something that comes easily. But then the reality, according to Octavia Butler, is you don't start out writing good stuffs. You start out writing craps and then thinking it's a good stuff. Gradually, you get better at it. And then that is why they say one of the most valuable traits is persistence. So your first publication or your first writing can be something you are not so proud of. But at that point in time, it looks like the best thing you can do. And then you keep on getting better by doing it over and over. The persistence, the consistency is what brings out the perfection. And someone once said that consistency gives you a better way of doing things. Although some says consistency brings perfection, at the end of the day, perfection is relative, and you might not be able to adequately say this is a level of perfection based on your own perception. So it's just a thing of having to do it over and over, get reviews, get comments, get criticisms, and then keep making yourself better. Then also, we know that writing doesn't just help us communicate ideas, it helps us to shape our thinking to begin with, which means writing is not merely a way to communicate our thoughts. Rather, it's a tool for improving our thinking. It's a way of deepening our understanding and also a way of generating new ideas. So if you are not into the art of writing as a postgraduate student, you are limiting yourself. You are not giving yourself the opportunity to communicate your ideas to the world out there. A lot of us do our research and then we print it out at the end of the day, bind it and put it on the shelf. At the end of the day, this research has not contributed to the benefit, has not been beneficial to the populace, and which means we've only done something to get the marks. Although I know every student, we are fine once we get the marks, at least we know we are moving forward. But beyond getting the marks, we should be able to make every of our encounter in the academic world beneficial to people out there. We should be able to make life better for people who are out there. And that is why your research plays a major role in this. To look at what publication is, a publication serves as a medium of making scientific information available for public consumption. You remember when I was discussing it in the introduction section, I mentioned that if your work is not out there for the public to see, if your research is not adding to the day-to-day lifestyle of people out there, then you're simply not doing the right thing. Your research should be able to contribute to what people are going through out there. It should be able to make life better for people. And that is why we need to publish. If you end up putting your research on your laptop or maybe saved in your cloud account, or probably you leave it on the shelf in the library, it has not done any good to the populace. Okay, you might have the knowledge, you might be able to say, okay, this is what I have done, but are people out there benefiting from what you are doing? And that is why at the end of the day, we must be able to get publications out of our research. And this also allows the academic audience to evaluate the quality of the research. If we look at the situation of the world over the last 3 years, where we've had COVID-19, you agree with me that if people had carried out their research on coronavirus and they decide to leave it in the shelf of their office or probably leave the research on their laptops, we would not be where we are today. So having carried out a research, you must be able to bring it out there to benefit people and to benefit the community at large. So by putting your research out there, you give others the opportunity to say, okay, what you have done, is it attainable? Is it feasible? Is it something that can be achieved the way you have presented it? So that's why we have some publications that go through peer review to allow other academians to give their opinion, to evaluate what you have done. And then we have a more robust and authentic information to put out there. So at the end of the day, we are able to better the life of everyone generally. And your publications can be in different forms. It can be as a book or as a monograph. These are long-form publications that examines a particular scholarly topic. So a book provides a broad treatment of a subject, while monographs are more detailed examination of a specified subject or a piece of a large subject. So we also have edited books. In a case of the edited books, this time around, you have an editor who combines or who collates publications from different authors. And then he or she does the editing process. Most of the time, your edited book do not go through the process of peer review. So at the end of the day, these are usually evaluated based on the quality of the press or the quality of the chapters and the stature of the contributing authors on the edited book. Then also we have journal articles. These are manuscript that shares the findings of a specific scholarly work published as a part of a regularly published periodical. So journals may be called academic journals. They can be peer-reviewed journals. They can be scholarly journals or any other similar terms. But generally, journal articles are referred to as the backbone of academic publishing, and they are a wonderful source for research on specific questions. Then you also have book chapters. In this case, a book chapter is a chapter inside a larger volume, like the edited book, for example. But then when we look specifically at book chapters, mostly these are peer-reviewed, unlike the edited book. For the edited book, the editor can only gather chapters from authors and then do the editing personally. But for most book chapters, which are derived from conference publications, majority of the time they are subjected to peer review. So we also have the book reviews. That is carrying out a review of a published book. This gives a short evaluation of what the book talks about and provides an overview of what the book entails. So it gives a critical discussion of the content, the style, and the rigor that has been put in place to get the book published. Then we have conference proceedings. Conference proceedings have been the most common outlet for publications in the science and engineering fields. Although even in these fields, their prominence is gradually declining due to the fact that we now have a lot of conferences that people focus majorly on your payment for registration, and the peer review process is not as detailed as it used to be compared to journal articles. Then also we have the technical reports, the scientific reports or white papers, which gives an overview of a particular case study approach research. Then we also have blog posts, which people do commonly these days. While there are many exceptions, but then people do not, in the academia generally, blog posts are not referred as academic publications, but then you still have them to be useful points of getting your publication out there also. Then we have magazine columns. This can be found in newspapers, just to give maybe an overview of a particular happening around us, and then people get to see it every now and then. Now, moving to the crux of this discussion, which is extracting publication from your thesis or dissertation. Generally, when you look at your dissertation or your thesis, depending on the stage where you are, there are two different approaches that you can make publications from your work. If you're still carrying out that particular study, you have the opportunity to do a literature review manuscript like what we have at the upper part here. But then if you are done with the degree, or you have submitted your work for examination, you have the opportunity to do an empirical study manuscript from that dissertation or from the thesis. And what this entails is at the point of still carrying out the research, you might not have empirical data to back up what you are doing. So at that point, you can push out a literature review manuscript. This would be gathering information from what has been published by different authors over the years. And then you are able to say, okay, this is what author A and author B have said. This is what the present situation in the body of knowledge is talking about. This is the focus, or this is the direction of discussion in this particular study area. So your literature review manuscript can be subdivided also to the narrative review or the systematic review. Your narrative review can be in form of just telling us how this particular phenomenon came into being. So for that particular review manuscript, you don't necessarily have to analyze or evaluate a lot of publications that are already in the body of knowledge. But if you're looking at a systematic review, then you have to be more detailed. You should be able to tell us what has been done in that particular field. You should be able to tell us what are the findings of those research, and then what are the focus, what have they done, what are the recommendations from all these articles. And most of the time, journal articles will require that for you to have a systematic review manuscript published with them, you must have a minimum of 50 references. So that means you must have done a well-detailed synthesis of all these articles, understand what they are saying, be able to bring their opinion together, and then form a conclusion and recommendation out of that. Well, sometimes people do what we call a scientometric review under the systematic review manuscripts option. That involves you downloading manuscripts, or no, not manuscript this time around, we'll call them publications because they're already peer-reviewed and they're out there for consumption. So you download these publications from a particular database, then you try to check through the bibliometric characteristics of these publications. What have they been talking about? What has been the focus of all these publications? Where are these publications coming from? Who are the authors doing publications in that particular field? And then you are able to make informed decision on what that research area is all about, what people have been talking about in that research field, what people are saying, and how that has influenced the society at large. So you can either have that as bibliometric, it can be scientometric. Then we also have, I think, I'm trying to taxonometric also. So you have different approaches to doing your systematic review. This can be done when you are still carrying out the research and you've not gotten your empirical information or empirical data to back up what you are doing in your thesis or in your dissertation. Then if you have completed the research, you've collected data either from your experiments or from questionnaire survey, either quantitative or qualitative data, you've been able to analyze the data and you've been able to draw out findings. Then you can have an empirical study manuscript to be published. And most of the time, it's easier to make your publication with empirical data or with empirical information, because now you are not just telling us what is existing in the body of knowledge, you are bringing in a novel idea, or you are bringing in something that has not been said before. However, you also have some instances where your empirical data supports what has been done before. It's just substantiating what the research that has been done is all about. So these are the different dynamics that comes in when you want to do your publication. One thing you just need to know is, at what stage am I in this research? If it's still ongoing, you can do a literature review manuscript. If you are done with the research, then you can come up with an empirical study manuscript and you get it published in different types of publication outlets that you have. But then I must say here also that when you're doing your literature review manuscript, majorly you might not be able to publish in some journals. So you have to critically check the focus of the journal outlets you want to publish at before you select to submit to that to the journal outlet. Then also you stand a better chance of publishing your literature review manuscript in conference proceedings. So conferences serves as a very good avenue for you to put your work out there for people to see and for people to know what your research is all about. Then you are also able to get feedback from conference proceedings, because you go there to make your presentation physically. People give you feedback to say, okay, what you're doing is very good, or you can adjust it in this line. That informs your research and helps you to build whatever you're working on in your dissertation. Then, but if you are done with your research already, then you can go ahead with the empirical study manuscript option. Now, looking at how to do your publication now, like I said earlier, we have two different options. You have the empirical study manuscripts, then you also have the literature review manuscript. So if you're working on an empirical study manuscript where you have the data collected that has been analyzed and you have your findings already, you can follow this particular content where you have your abstracts, then you have the introduction section, you have your background to the study, which can be theoretical, it can be conceptual, but you just have to tell us what people have done in this particular field, what has been said about that particular research area or about the phenomenon that you're researching. Then you move on to tell us the research method or methodology that you have adopted for that particular research. At this point in time, people limit the research method and methodology to empirical studies alone. But in reality, for every type of your research publication you're trying to put out there, you must be able to tell us the methodology that you have adopted. It could be a qualitative, it could be quantitative, and it could be a mix of both of the two research methodologies. You must be able to give us an insight, because your research methodology section is what tells someone else who wants to carry out a similar study how to go about it. So that's why your research methodology section is always important in your manuscript. So you can still do away with the background to the study. Once you have a well-detailed introduction section, you can move on to your research method or methodology section, depending on the allowance you're given for the number of words in your publication. Some journal outlets will tell you your maximum number of words would be maybe 5,000 words. Some can say 8,000 words. Then some can give you page limitations to say your publication must not be more than 15 pages. So if you factor all these things into your writing, you are able to know whether you can have a background to the study section, or from your detailed introduction, you move on to your research methodology. Then, having given us an overview of the process or the approach to achieving the research, you tell us the results and findings, what you have been able to get from the empirical data collected for that particular study. Then you move on to do the discussion of the findings. most of the time people match the results and the discussion of the results together. This is allowed in your publication, but then you also have some reviewers that tells you, no, don't match these two together, separate them. Let's have the results separately and the discussion of the results separately. Whichever way that they have structured your work to follow, then you adopt that also. Then, it's also advisable that you have a section that talks about the implication of findings. The implication of findings is to tell us, okay, from what you have done now, from the discussion you have given us based on your findings, how does this imply to the body of knowledge? How does this affect our day-to-day activities? So your implication can be for policymakers, it can be for professionals in the industry, it can be for people in the academics, or it could be for the general public. So with the implication of findings section, it brings out the novelty of your research, and then it informs whoever wants to read that publication to say, based on what you are reading at this point in time, these are the steps to be taken. These are the major areas that this research speaks to. Then also you have your conclusion and recommendation section, where you tell us a summary of what the manuscript is all about, and then make recommendations for either policymakers based on what you have discussed in the implication of findings. So that's what a typical empirical study manuscript should look like. And one thing about all these sections is, if you have done your thesis or dissertation the normal way it should be done, you should be able to take all this content out from your thesis or dissertation. So you have an introduction section in your thesis, which should be your chapter 1. Then you have a background to the study, which is probably your chapter 2 that talks about the literature review. Then you have your research methodology section, also probably your chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, depending on how many chapters you have in your dissertation or thesis. So at the end of the day, you see, extracting a manuscript from your thesis, it's not an Herculean task. It's not something that takes you the whole process of doing your research all over. It's just you taking content out of what you have done already. However, if you're doing the literature review manuscript, there is a caveat that I must put out there now. If you are publishing a literature review from your manuscript, or from your thesis rather, which you're still working on, you must take time to paraphrase your sentences, your paragraphs. You must paraphrase them, because if you have done a publication that you extracted from your chapter 2, take for instance, you did an extraction of say 10 pages and you have published that already. At the end of the day, when you are submitting your dissertation for examination and your dissertation is subjected to plagiarism test, you might find out that your plagiarism report is coming out with maybe 30% or 40%, and that will count against you. So when you're extracting a literature review manuscript from your thesis or dissertation, try as much as possible to paraphrase the sentences, give them a new look that is different from what you have in your own dissertation, the original dissertation. Then also you have the typical content to look like this. You have the abstract, then you have the introduction section. Quickly after your introduction section, you must tell us the methodology that you have adopted, unlike what you have in the empirical study manuscript, where you can have a literature review before the research methodology. Here, you want to tell us how you have been able to extract the journals or the publications generally, the publications that you're using for this review. Where have you downloaded them from? Which database have you adopted? How did you extract these publications from those databases? So this is what you'll be talking about in the research method or methodology section, before you now give us a review, which is the body of the manuscripts, to tell us maybe a theoretical approach or a conceptual review of what has been done, what you've been able to observe from these publications that you have adopted for the research. Then also, you must give us a lessons learned section. This section is also doing what you have in the implication of findings under the empirical study. It's telling us what are the key points to take out from this publication, this manuscript you're submitting. So when an editor is trying to check what you are submitting, your manuscript, before sending it out for review, so that your publication is not rejected at the desk, the editor's desk, it's always advisable that you indicate or you come up with a section that talks about the lessons learned, what that manuscript is all about, what the manuscript has been able to show us that has been the practice in the industry, or a particular overview of that particular phenomenon you're looking at in the research. Then also you have the conclusion section and the recommendations for further studies, or recommendations for the industry, policymakers, or the general public, as the case may be. So what I've given here is just a typical content of what you can have in these two different types of publications. However, you can always modify this to speak to whatever the publication outlets you want to submit your work to requires of you. Then to look at the do's and don'ts of publication. When you are putting your publication together, you must always keep this in mind. The first thing you must avoid is plagiarism and duplicate publication. This practice certainly has been the downfall of many researchers, or as we know, politicians also in the past. And it does not matter what kind of format the source is. It can be an abstract, grant application, speech, research papers, whether it is published or unpublished, and whatever language it is written. Once you are using the words, the thoughts, the ideas of another person, you must attribute that particular sentence or that particular part of your work to the original owner. And this must be done properly. Where necessary, you try to paraphrase and put it in your own sentence. But if you want to retain the original content as the person had said it, then you can make it in parentheses and then indicate the owner of that particular part. Because plagiarism can also come with copyright implications. So you have to be aware of any copyright infringement that may arise from using another person's content. Then another part is the unethical research. When you're doing your research, make sure by all possible means, as a general rule, that when you are researching on humans and animals, you must minimize possible harm and maximize possible benefits. So such risk of harm to participants exists in many types of research, and it may not be just physical. It could be psychological, it could be emotional, it could be social or financial or legal nature. You must make sure that you avoid all this. Particular carefulness must be given when you are working with a vulnerable and disadvantaged group, or when you are working with children. So you must make sure in your research publication that you give utmost importance to verify that your research meets all relevant ethical standards, and that you have obtained ethical approval for the study by your institution's review board. I believe for each of the faculties at UJ, there's an ethical clearance board committee that oversees whatever research is being conducted in that faculty. So you must make sure that you obtain your ethical clearance before you carry out your research. Then another thing you must not do is the fabrication and falsification of information. This is something that people do, and it is unacceptable in your research. The invention or manipulation of experimental data are strictly a taboo for any honorable researcher. So trust and good faith are the principles on which science and academic publishing depends on. So at the same time, this is what makes the system vulnerable to abuse. So putting everything you're doing into that research, make sure you are not falsifying your data. Make sure you are not fabricating data from the comfort of your room just for publication purpose. You must ensure that you consider all this when you're doing your research. Okay, then also you look at authorship misconduct. You must ensure that you put your name and your co-author's name at the top of your manuscript. You must make sure that whoever needs to be included has been included, and you try as much as possible not to include those we refer to as guest or gift authors in your publication. If that individual has not made any tangible contribution to the publication, on ethical basis, it is not appropriate to put that individual's name in your publication. Then also you must avoid predatory publication outlets. There are a lot of them out there today that they take your publication and they put you in trouble. They are only after your money. So you must be on the lookout. Watch out for how they approach you. You see them sending invites to say, come and make your publication. What you do is you submit your publication today. In 2 days, you get your response. Either it is accepted or rejected. And also, most of the time, you see these outlets, that publication outlets, that you submit your article today. In 2 days' time, it is accepted. Then they tell you to pay a particular fee. At the end of the day, the old process of getting your publication out is within 5 days. Yes, we also have some publications that needs to be pushed out as fast as possible. Take, for instance, in the situation where we had COVID-19 as a new phenomenon, then every research on COVID-19 needed to be pushed out as soon as possible for people, for the public consumption. So that might fast track the publication process. However, if there are no matter of urgencies on your publication and you are being promised that it will be done within 3 days, all you need is to pay. There's no peer review conducted. You know you are publishing in a predatory publisher, and that can affect your reputation as an academia. So you need to watch out for that. Then also, lastly, we look at the publishing process. For you to make your publication, most of the time you go through these processes that are highlighted here. The first thing to do is you prepare your manuscript. Depending on the number of authors that you want to work with, you can be 3, you can be 5, you can be 15. I've seen a publication that has about 675 authors before. It's a research that was conducted in a laboratory that involved everyone working in that laboratory to achieve it. So depending on the authors that will be involved, everyone must make a contribution one way or the other to have your manuscripts prepared. So once you are done with that, you identify a suitable publication outlet that you know that manuscript falls within their coverage. So once you've been able to identify such outlets, you make an online submission to the publication outlet. One thing I must say here is you must try as much as possible to not submit your publication to different outlets at the same time. It's also part of double publication, which is unethical in research. So make sure you submit your publication, your manuscript, to just one outlet at a time. Wait until you get their feedback. Either your manuscript is accepted or rejected before you submit it to another outlet. And if you feel your manuscript is taking longer than necessary, you can always contact the editor of that manuscript to withdraw your submission, and then you can submit to another outlet. Then also, once you are done with the online submission, the peer review process comes in, where the editor of the publication outlet sends out your manuscripts to reviewers to give their comments, to go to assess what your manuscript is talking about and see if there's a contribution to the body of knowledge from that manuscript. So having done the peer review process, you have reviewers' comments that is received by the authors. At this point, there are 3 options that you might be given. Your manuscript can be accepted, or it can be rejected, and it can also be subjected to a revision. So if you are requested to make a revision, what you need to do is go through the comments which you have received from the reviewers, and then use that to improve the manuscript before you submit back. Then also, if your manuscript is accepted at this stage, then you can go, the publication outlet takes you straight to the process of copyright transfer. Then, but if your manuscript is rejected at this stage, all you need to do is take into consideration the comments that has been given by the reviewers, use that to improve the manuscript. Then you can always look for another publication outlet to submit it to. Also, some journals allow you to resubmit after you have improved your manuscript based on the comments, and then they consider your manuscript once again for review to make sure what you are submitting this time around falls within what is obtainable for that publication outlet. Then once you have done that, if you're submitting a revision, what you need to do is make corrections and then you submit back. At that point, your manuscript can be accepted and it can also be rejected. It's not a given that once you have done a revision, the manuscript will be accepted. It can still be rejected at that stage. So depending on what happens, if it's accepted, then you do your copyright transfer by the authors to the publication house. In that case, your publication is no longer your own property, it becomes the property of the publication outlet. Then they do the copy editing and typesetting. They proofread, having done the copy editing and typesetting, the manuscript is sent back to you as the authors to proofread and check if there are errors that has been made or typographical errors on the manuscript before it is then printed and published online or physically. So this is a breakdown of all the processes you go through in the publishing process. And one thing you need to keep at the back of your mind is this process can take between 4 weeks to 1 year to 3 years. I've seen a publication that was submitted in 2006 and it was only accepted in 2009. So it depends on the publication outlet and what the editor and the reviewers are saying about your manuscript. And then it depends on your whole level of patience as well. In conclusion, your publication gives you an edge in the academic setting. It gives you a name. It sets you up there for people to see what you have done, to be able to give you the accolades you deserve as an academia. Then it also gives you the opportunity to make a name for yourself. At the end of the day, when we are dead, what you have written would always be out there. What you have done, a research you have conducted that you have published, can still be accessed 100 years, 500 years, 1 million years after you are gone. A typical example is the Bible, the Quran. You see, the writers of this book are long gone, but you still see people accessing all these books today. So there's a popular saying that they say publish or perish. So this is the approach to your publications also. Once you want your name to stand the test of time, get something out there to publish, write your name on something and get it published out there. Then publishing is not an undoable task. It's something you just need to put yourself into it, take your time and give yourself into doing it. Over time, you will see it as something that is easy, and then you are able to do it effortlessly. Thank you very much for your rapt attention.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, Mr. Okpe Akinradewo. That has been very, very deep. And, just as we were having it yesterday, we had this arrangement where Dr. Egbeto took us from how, the structure of writing anything came to be. And today, again, we are just having it, in a very hot arrangement again that, so this is how you want to move from this place to this place. And for me, I actually, gain a lot, which I also want to think every other person did the same. So we are at a time where we need to ask questions now. I understand that, it's not just money, or what's the value of rand to naira. That's not the basic information we're asking at every time. We need to ask questions. Now, if we don't ask questions, I don't think we'll move forward. Please, we need to ask questions, except we want to say, okay, now, I've published like 500 articles and I don't need any other thing again. So please, or you want to say we truly understand what Mr. Okpe has said. Please question. Okay, so question one, Mr. Okpe, and it's coming from Mr. Lanrewaju Fajini. He said, in which condition do people tend to pay for publication? I see most Nigerian schools believe this is the only way they can push their work out. So so now, at what time or in which publication, in which condition, in which conference, in which journal, in which, so do people need to pay for publication? Because I see most Nigerian schools believe that this is the only way they can push their work. Dr. Okweso, do you get what Mr. Lanrewaju is trying to ask there, sir?
Okay, yes, that's a very good question. It's something that is prevalent, not just in Nigeria, but among people who want their publication to be out there as soon as possible. So a normal setting where you don't pay for your publication to be put out there can take a minimum of 3 months, 5 months. Sometimes it takes years for the publication to get out eventually. So people are not always ready to wait for that long, probably because they have, let's say, a promotion to be done very soon. So you quickly see, okay, I need about 4 publications to add to my profile before I'm considered for this promotion. So you quickly look for outlets where you can pay, and then they publish your work as soon as possible. Then also, you can also pay to get your publication out there if it's an open access journal outlet. Sometimes, or not sometimes, most of the time, your open access journals require you to pay a fee for them to make that work available to everyone. Then if you have the gold access journals also, you are required to make payment for them. So at the end of the day, it depends on how patient you are and how vested you are in getting your publication out there so that you can use it for maybe to get a grant or to get promotion. So I believe that those are the instances that make people tend to pay for their publication.
Oh, thank you so much. And in addition, I think there are also there are other conferences that you probably write paper to, and you have to pay for them too. So I think those things are also very possible. So it's very possible that somebody has written a particular paper or anything that he wants to make use of it, to a particular conference, and he or she needs to pay for that. So I also think that is possible. Let me also check if we have. Okay, questions 2 is coming from Adetayo Onososen. Adetayo Onososen. So thank you, my great Ebon. So thank you, my great brother. So my question is what are the rules of UJ in terms of authorship of a paper? Is the student always the first author, and can a supervisor on a work send out a work without the student's knowledge? So basically, I think this person is asking about, okay, who owns article, who owns a publication, who owns a journal, like for putting out a journal as a probably master's or PhD student. So the sole authorship, is it for me, or can my supervisor, I'm personalizing it, so can my supervisor push out my work, in other places? Probably he sees a journal, he sees something, so can he push out my work without my knowledge? Apparently, so that means my name is likely not to be there. I really don't know, but I mean, the extension of that part is that if my supervisor is pushing out my work without my knowledge, so probably my name is not there. So now, how do we sort all of this things, sir?
Okay, that's another good question. For UJ, the authorship of a paper depends on the agreement between the students and the supervisor. Mostly it is allowed because the original idea most of the time would be the students. The supervisor is just there to guide you and tell you this is how to structure your work. This is what you should look at. So you are permitted as a student to be the first author on that manuscript. But at the end of the day, the intellectual property is still belongs to UJ. As long as you are in the employment of UJ, or as long as you are a student of the UJ community, whatever publication you are able to do from your work related to UJ becomes the property of the school. But your supervisor can decide to be the first author with agreement. The two of you must have an agreement in that line. So I'm not sure if it's written in the books that compulsorily the student must be the first author or the supervisor must be the first author. Then in the case of your supervisor sending out your work without your knowledge, it is unacceptable. It's ethically wrong in research. And in the UJ community, I read somewhere sometimes ago that if as a student who has graduated and after 6 months, you have not made a publication from what you submitted, the supervisor can make publication without informing you, but your name must still be on the research. So, however, if you have graduated and within 6 months, your supervisor is sending out your research without your consent, then that supervisor is breaching your consent, and it's something you can take up with the ethics committee. So I believe that's how it works here.
Okay, so I think so it's a matter of so if you live in a country and so okay, we are from Nigeria, so but that's not the point. So like if you live in a country and the government, so the land that you own at that time, you can build your house, it's your own land. But if eventually you find oil, it belongs to the government. Eh? So like
exactly.
So as much as you're still in UJ, Adetayo, so as long as you're still in UJ, the authorship in general now belongs to the UJ. And so whoever that can access it at that time, you know, with the laid down principles, let's say, you know, 6 months, you've not done anything about it, the professor can pick it. And if you want to do anything within 6 months, you can do it. So like, it's just shift like that. But what I think is, if there is, you know, a cordial relationship between, you know, student-supervisor relationship, if there are a cordial relationship, you know, as I understand that, you know, there are cases where you want to fight it all through and stuff like that. So yeah, so I think we have other questions. I think people are eating to this thing. Yeah, eating. It is not just about what is the latest exchange rate. People are eating to this. So I have another question from Mr. Larry Waju Fajimi. He said, when can we be bold enough to publish in a high impact factor journals? When can we be bold enough to publish in a high impact, you know, high impact factor journals? So, and let me check if the other question is like that, because as much as possible, I want us to manage our time very well, because we want to stop at 12 o'clock, and I want to take this privilege to welcome Ms. Palnesa, who will be representing Ms. Dudu Mbata. I've heard so much about you, and I cannot wait to welcome you. But let's take these questions now so that we just wrap it up. So in a situation where you don't have control over your work, like in my case, okay, so my supervisor wants to handle the whole process of publication, thereby limiting the student experience in the whole publication process. It is good to learn, but it is better for a PhD student to be independent or something like that. So I hope you understand. I know you understand everything, even the thought of my mind, you understand because of your experience. I know you understand. So like, should we just deal with those two questions first? The first one is that when are we, you know, to be bold enough? Because I think the second question is connected to this. If you don't have experience of how to do all of these things, you might not know when you are bold enough to post in high impact factor journals. So can we just trash that before we move to the next one?
Oh, okay. Talking about the third question, when can we be bold enough to publish in high impact factor journals? I believe there's no set time. When I was doing my master's, even though I had just literature review manuscripts, I was making attempts to submit to any journal outlet that I see that is related to my field of study. I believe there was this manuscript I submitted to over 7 outlets. What I did was I started from the high impact factor journal outlets. So they gave me rejection with some comments. I used those comments to improve the manuscript. I submitted to another high impact factor journal. Also, it was rejected. We continued on and on like that for about 7 different outlets. So now at that point, after the 7th process, I know whatever I have, based on the comments I've received so far, I've been able to improve the quality of the work. Then after doing all those reviews, I submitted to, I will call it a Q2 journal. And the paper was accepted after with minor corrections. So you see, there's no particular time that is set for you to have the courage. It's just a situation of you building yourself to receive the rejection emails and not take it to heart. So whether you are a renowned publisher or you are just a starter, you would always get rejection emails. So it now depends on how you accept the rejection and what you do with the rejection. So in my case, I know for sure when I was submitting those publications that they would not fly through, but I intended to get comments which would help me improve the quality of that manuscript. So it does not have to be when you are almost done with your program and you think, okay, you have something solid now. The reality is what you see as a solid manuscript can get out there and then they tell you this is rubbish, there's no contribution to the body of knowledge. Then what do you do at that instance? When you've already assumed that, yes, you have done something meaningful or something tangible. So there's no set time for you to take up that courage to submit to high impact factor. You can start from your day one. The worst case scenario is they reject your manuscript and they tell you to submit to somewhere else. They give you few comments or something elaborate that you can use to improve the manuscript. So I believe that's how it works for that aspect. Your boldness should come from the day you register as a postgraduate student. Then also, this is not limited to postgraduate students. As an undergraduate also, you can start putting your hands on something. I did my first publication when I was in my final year in undergraduate. So it's not something that limits you. It's just you taking the bold step to say, I want to see what this feels like. I want to have an experience of this. And then you take the courage to submit with the expectation that there will be a rejection. That's just it. And then looking at the other question, in a situation where you don't have control over your work, sometimes it's hard working with some supervisors. They always want to take charge. They want to know what the journal outlets are saying. At the end of the day, I would say it boils down to your relationship with your supervisor. You know, over the time, people complain that their supervisor is not interested in what they are doing. Then you see another person saying, my supervisor is too interested in what I'm doing. So we can't have it all. Some people have it fair, some people have it hard. So you just try as much as possible to understand who you are working with. If your supervisor is someone that wants to be the one submitting the publications, the reality is having submitted the publication, when there's reviews to be made on that manuscript, he's not going to do the reviews. He will send them back to you to attend to the comments. So the only feel you are not getting is how to go online to make the submission yourself, how to fill in the details, probably, which you can do eventually when you are graduated. So it's just a process of how you applied to your university to get the admission. It's something similar to that you do when you are doing the submission. So if your supervisor feels he wants to be the one to handle that aspect, leave it to him. Let him or her do that while you sit down. When the reviews come out and there's a need to make some comments or to adjust some aspect of the work, definitely the work is going to come back to you to attend to those comments. So just understand who you are working with and then you won't have much problem.
Okay, that's very great. So before I take the last the last thing, it didn't come as a question, it came as, you know, we can actually screenshot it and post it as our testimony. So that's that. So, but let me take the last, in addition to what you have said about, you know, the supervisor-student relationship. So Dr. Patrick, you know, he has said, you know, just as an advice, so please try to avoid striving with your supervisor regarding publication, especially if he is funding the research and providing all you need for the work. So don't allow anyone to push you or encourage you to do so. Have discussion with your supervisor and talk your ways out and avoid assumptions. So I think relationship is very key. None of these things that we are saying. No, just as you're saying, many people, how you got your admission, it's not okay that you sent your first of all sent your what's it called now, your proposal to a supervisor who applying to UJ, and at the end of the day, you got the admission. Now you want to take charge. I mean, the supervisor who counted at a time now becomes somebody who does not count it. So I think relationship that you built in the first place before getting the admission. So should also know the respect, the dignity, everything should be in place. And one thing I also want to add to all of these things is that, see, I think either ways, they actually work for our good as students. Whether you have a supervisor who truly loves you, count it as a grace for you to get better. Either, I mean, and if you have a supervisor who does not, really care, or you feel he or she does not really like you, count it as a grace to develop your inner and emotional stability and ability to, forge ahead. I think either way, we should see it from this angle that is, positive, and with that we would soar higher. So the last comment I want to take is from Balkis Banjo. She said, "Oh, you have just inspired me. As per my master's dissertation, I gave up on my articles. I gave up after my article was rejected, from 2 different publications. So although I managed to publish a conference proceeding, I decided to leave that particular article and face my current study, which is my thesis. You understand now? Face front with face front, you understand? So yeah, so and on that, I want to say the book Harry Potter that has been made into movies that it's one of the movies that of all time, the sales is high. People are still buying Harry Potter now. The book itself was rejected by 12 different publishers. 12 publishers rejected the book Harry Potter before the last person just took it. And the person that even took it did not read the manuscript. The person did not check it. The person dropped it with his kid. It was that kid that took interest in it, and now talk to the father again, and they now check again, and they probably the thing. So now the idea is that just as Dr. Kwe has said, there's no right publication, no right time, no. The moment you are in it, you are in it. It's more like, so when can I start swimming? When I just entered this swimming pool, just swim. I mean, whether you want to drown, people around will take you out, they will pump you this and so with that, I think we have come to the end of the session with Dr. Kwe, and I want to believe it has been a very great time. Thank you so much, Mr. Kwe Akiradewo. It has been a very great pleasure having you here, and we hope when we call you the next time, you would answer us. No, when you call us another time, we will answer you. So we are here.
I'm always at your beck and call you.
Call us at any time. We're always here for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. So if you enjoyed that class, please can you just say thank you, so that let's just have this thank you, so that he knows that truly from inside of us, we are very thankful.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you too.
Okay, so moving on now, great people. So I wouldn't know if the rep of the UJ International Student is around now. So if he's around, we'd just like to take him before we go on to the next thing on our grid here, which is discussing maximizing bursaries and funding opportunities for 2022. Okay, I hope he will join us this session. So now, who I am about to bring to us this morning is this very resourceful and very elegant person. So like the aura you always feel whenever you have any encounter with her is this one that goes beyond what you can simply describe or you can easily forget. She has this aura of always wanting to help. She has this aura of always welcoming people to her, just to pass information that will be very, very beneficial. I'm talking about no other person than Miss Palema, and she will be the one to take us on the how we can maximize bursaries bursaries and funding opportunities for 2022. I will be so grateful and so happy to have Miss Palesa in our midst today. Please, let's welcome her. You can just type welcome, 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 because I am very, very sure she's going to blow the whole thing, above the roof. And I can assure you that Miss Palesa, if you are ready for us, we are also ready for you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the invite. Sorry, I'm just moving. So I'm basically doing this presentation from my car.
Yeah.
So I'll just start by sharing my screen with you guys. Okay. So basically what we have here is the postgraduate school. So what we do is we offer funding to both international and national students. So both South African students and international students can apply for our scholarships, starting from postgraduate diplomas, honors, masters, and doctoral studies. We also have the postdoctoral office, but it's managed by Ms. Prashika Pandey under the leadership of Dr. Ria Foslow. So as you can see here, we've got our head of department, Mr. Praveen Singh, and then we've got Ms. Dudu Mbata, who is the funding coordinator. For NRF, we've got Mr. Tabiso Masango. And so starting with the UJ Merit bursaries. So the UJ Merit bursaries is for all students, international and South African students, part-time and full-time students with an average of 70 to 74% can get a minimum of 7,130, and with 75% can get a maximum of 10,970. So for doctoral students, part-time and full-time, the same amount applies. Apologies for the error here. It's actually 10,970. And then for 74% and above, it's 16,460. For this particular scholarship, which is the UJ Merit, it is managed by Student Finance and managed by the lady called Magdalene Khonoti. Here are her email address, and Miss Yolanda Chicken, and here's her email address as well. And then we have the UJ Supervisory Linked Bursary, which is also for masters, international and South African students who get 2,600 for part-time supervisor has for that particular year, but it is not limited to this particular amount. And then for doctoral students, they can receive a minimum of 13,200. And then for part-time students, they can receive 6,600. So with this particular one, it is currently open. You can apply at your faculties. You just upon registration, you can just obtain the documents and then complete them and ask your supervisor to sign, and then you can just send them through to your faculty again. And then we've got the UJ Commonwealth. So with the UJ Commonwealth, we have not decided when it will open. So we will only have discussions mid-March. So hopefully by April, it will be open for you guys to apply. This is basically mostly for international students. And then you get 95,000 Rand per annum for first year of award and 80,000 per annum for 2 years. So in the first year of your doctoral study, you get awarded 95,000 Rand, and then for the rest of the 2 years, you get 80,000 Rand. So with regards to this payment, you get it first semester, half of the 95,000, and the second semester, you get the rest of the funds. So if you opt for an option of getting this funds on a monthly stipend, you can just simply send the request to our office and we will administer with student finance. And then we have the URC International. I know you guys have been asking a lot about it. So unfortunately, at the current moment, we do not have funding for it. So 2 years due to COVID, we have not opened this particular funding for students to apply. What we have been doing is we've been sending out a request to the faculties to select students that they want to award the scholarship to. So we don't know if this year it will be open, but there is a small chance that it will be open. But I manage the master's side of it, and then Ms. Dudu manages the doctoral side of it. So if it does open, as a master's student, you'll be awarded 65,000 Rand, and we are giving you the 65,000 Rand for 2 years. So you get the 65,000 Rand in your first year, and in your last year, you get the 65,000 Rand. And then for the doctoral, we cover for the whole 3 years, which is 95,000 Rand concurrently. So same applies as with the UJ Commonwealth. You can request monthly stipends if you do wish, but however, we do release the funds per semester for you to claim. The most interesting one, the GES. I know most of you have already applied for it, and we are currently busy with the shortlisting, and we will be communicating with you guys with regards to the outcome end of March. But the GES is basically the most prestigious scholarship that we have. It's the Fourth Industrial Revolution Scholarship, which is managed by our office. I manage again the masters I manage the masters, and Ms. Dudu managed permanent residence in non-South Africa at the time when you apply, and you get a maximum of 100,000 Rand for masters, which is administered on a monthly basis, of which you get a monthly stipend for it, and then for doctoral you do get 150,000 Rand per annum. And then basically when you apply for this one, your topic needs to be aligned with the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And we only fund first year student masters and first year student doctoral. So unfortunately, if you have applied for it, you will not be successful if you are a second year masters or a second. So it opened last year in November, and then it only closed on the 21st of January this year. And then we have what we call the special URC, which is completely different from the URC International. This one is both for South African and international students. They can apply, but you also need a minimum of 70% to apply for it or to be awarded this particular scholarship. So with this one, you get 80,000 Rand for masters, which is also administered on a monthly basis. And for doctoral, you get 110,000. So minimum is 70% and above for this particular scholarship. This one is not open yet for the 2022 academic year. The only one that has been open is the GES, which closed on the 21st of January, and the UJ Commonwealth, which will be open in April. So these are external funding, which is the NRF. Unfortunately, I do not deal with the NRF. So the NRF basically covers honors. Full cost is 150,000 Rand, and then partial cost is 110,000 Rand. So for the 2022 academic year, it has already closed, as they only open in April every year for the following year. So for masters, they cover 167,000 Rand for full cost and 100,000 Rand for partial cost. And then for doctoral, it's 170,000 Rand for 75,000 Rand for full course and 90,000 Rand for partial course. And all these scholarships open from the 1st of April for 2023. And you can contact Mr. Tabiso Masango, who is the NRF coordinator, or Ms. Charlotte, who is the administrator for NRF. We also have what we call the First Rand International Postgraduate Scholarship. This one is particularly only for South African citizens, and they must be under the age of 35. This one usually opens in December and closes in February, but due to COVID, we have not been able to process any external funding. We also have the Rhodes Scholarship. This is a scholarship is open for South African and non-South African students, but with this one, when you apply for the scholarship or when you are awarded the scholarship, you should not be older than 25 on the date of awarding. So with this one, you get a chance to study at Oxford University, and it usually opens on the 1st of June and closes on the 15th of August. But all scholarships that are out are usually advertised on our UJ website page, on our postgraduate funding page. We have the Mandela Rhodes Foundation Scholarship, which is also for all African citizens. And then this is for honors and master's students only. So the call usually opens in April and May of every year. And I manage the master's and Dudu will manage the doctoral of it. We have the DSI CSIR bursary support. This is for, this is basically for engineering students that are interested in applying for this one. For honors, we cover 100,000 Rand, and then 120 for masters and 140 for doctoral. This one opens on their website every year on in around August to October. And then we have the Riatlile bursary, which is for South African citizens only, also opening around the same time as the previous scholarship. We have the electrical toll collection. South African students only can apply for this one, and it only opens later on in the year around November for the following year. The Rothschild and Co scholarship has not been advertised as yet, as it will only be advertised in August for 2023, but it also is also for South African students only. The Duke scholarship is also for South African students only, and it is only covers 100,000 Rand for both doctoral and master's students. And then I'm done with my presentation. So any question from you guys? Oh, sorry, can I just show you guys the stats that we have for the current GES that was open currently. So this is received for the 2022 academic year applications that we received. And then these are the master's students that were shortlisted. And then these are the doctoral students that were shortlisted. So yeah, I'm ready to take any questions if you do have.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Palesa. We want to thank you for coming. You know, I said it, and so it's nothing short of the fact that you have this aura of excellence that we want to just dish out quality information to people, information that will make their, you know, our studentship here in UJ smooth, and you know, and that is what she has just done. So I want to say thank you for what you have done. And so we are expecting a question to come in. People, we are talking about funding here. I know you don't want to miss these opportunities, and so yeah, if you have any questions, so like let's just put them on now, so that she's still here, and as we can see, she wants to travel, but she values us so much that she's around here, and she wants to. Okay, Miss Balkis, you have a question and you want to ask in person, I guess. So, okay, no problem. You have the grant. Please go on. Hello, Balkis. Your hand is up. So, and I assume that's to be a question from you. Do you have a question?
Thank you, Miss Palesa, for coming. My question is with the GES 4.0. I'm a beneficiary of that scholarship, and I'm wondering why they are blocking any other bursary that I get. They are blocking it. Like if I get a bursary and it's getting it is paid inside my student account, they used to return it back. So I don't know. Okay.
Okay, so the reason why I know I'm guilty, I'm the one who's always reversing all scholarships that you get. Okay, so the reason being is because as GES is managed by the Vice Chancellor of the university, it is an internal scholarship, and you cannot hold that scholarship with any other scholarship except for the merit bursary. So a supervisor linked bursary, each and every time you get a scholarship, we have to reverse it back, as the supervisor needs to provide that scholarship to someone else in need, as you already awarded the GES. So unless you are provided a scholarship that is greater than the amount that we are giving you, so for example, if NRF is giving you 120,000 Rand while you are getting 100,000 Rand for GES, you can cancel the GS and continue with the NRF. But because GS is internal with NRF, because we do not want to fund this.
Okay. Yeah, it's understood now. Thank you.
Okay, I told you, question will come in. This is money. You understand? I'm so sorry. Like, just give us 10 minutes from your traveling schedule. So there's another question here. This person actually joined late, but this person still has question about money. And the question is that, so sorry, I joined late. Okay, we are sorry. Thank you. So I want to ask if there are bursaries or scholarships available for international undergraduate students. Are there scholarships for international undergraduate students?
There's always scholarships for everyone at university. So for first year undergraduate students, you can always go to student finance, and Miss Yolanda and Magdalene are dealing with all scholarships that side. Or if they do not have, they can always direct you to someone within student finance. Unfortunately, our offices only cover from postgraduate diplomas upwards.
Oh, okay. So that question, I think, the direction is that Ms. Yolanda and Ms. Magdalene in student finance will be able to redirect to the appropriate quotas as regards scholarship or bursaries for undergraduate students who are also, international students. So there is another question here. And the question is that, so from Adetayo, he or she said, so please, I applied for merit bursary last year and wasn't granted despite fulfilling all requirements, though I did my MSc in Nigeria. Could that have been the reason?
So the merit bursary is basically based on the faculty. So the faculty is the one that, I don't know their criteria on how they grant the merit bursary. I know mostly about the supervisor bursary. It is based on the supervisor's budget for the year and if they're able to give money to their students. But with the merit bursary, I know for students that have been at UJ, they are granted they're granted the merit bursary based on academic performance from the previous year. So okay. I do not know if they've credited any of your credits from the previous institution.
That's quite understandable. So I think it's very possible that difficulty of logistics to get, authentication of your previous academic records or stuff like that. So probably that might be so. And I think the appropriate quotas to go for that is probably the department or the faculty for, further clearance as regards that. So the other question I have here is that, okay, this person says, and that's Adeleke Ismail says, so thanks for the presentation, Ma. My question is that, what's the maximum number of scholarships or bursary that can be applied for at once by a student? Thanks. So like, what is can I just keep applying? So GS is out, I apply for GS.
No, that's the thing. You need to always, don't just apply or focus on one scholarship because there is never any guarantees. So you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. So we always advise students that apply for as many scholarships as you can, and you have the option of choosing which one you want than sitting there without any funding for the year. But just keep in mind that for any master's student, the maximum funding amount is 100,000 Rand. That's the UJ policy. So any scholarship that you have, it cannot go above 100,000 Rand, as that will create audit problems. So for PhD students, your credit cannot go above 150,000 Rand. So you can apply for any scholarships, you can apply for this one and get 20,000, 80,000, but they need to be kept at a maximum of 100,000 Rand and 150,000 Rand.
Okay, that's actually true. So like there's no guarantee in just applying for one. Even in Guaranteed Trust Bank, you cannot trust the network sometimes. So like there's no guarantee in applying for one. So so this person is also buttressing his or her question by saying, is the merit bursary application still on?
I'm not sure about the academic year, but what I know is that for the currently now the supervisor linked bursary is the one that is currently open at the faculty.
Okay, so like SLB is what is currently open. I told you questions will come. Have you seen questions that we are dealing with now? So it is money, people will respond. So okay, so I think President has replied that no, it will be on by April. So that is for merit bursary application will be open by April. So, and I think this has been a very great time of information on what we need to scale through in our what's it called now, postgraduate studies as regards funding and bursaries and scholarships and all of that. And we want to take this time to especially thank Mrs. Palema. Thank you so much. We are very grateful, Ms. Palesa, I'm sorry. We are very grateful for your time. Thank you, despite the fact that you have a very tight schedule to move on to be on the road.
Mr. Additional John, hand is still raised up.
Oh, sorry about that, Mr. Additional. I'm so sorry.
Trying to get the attention of the moderator.
Oh, you should have sent money to my account. That is the best way to get my attention. I'm so sorry. Okay, so you have the floor. You can ask your questions.
Thank you, madam. I really appreciate. Thanks for the excellent presentation. But I'm also a beneficiary of the GES scholarship for the master's level, and my own situation is quite peculiar actually. I got the scholarship in 2020, but due to the COVID issue, I couldn't come. But I'd already registered, so I was able to secure the scholarship. So in 2021, I came to the school from Nigeria, and I tried to secure an abeyance for my study. So instead of my study to start 2020 and end 2021, it started 2021 and should end 2022. So in that line, you know, due to the mismatch of timing now, so I don't know what is really happening with my scholarship so far. I was paid for the first year. I've not been paid for the second year. So I spoke with Ms. Dudum Batal, but now you are saying you are the one in charge of the master's scholarship. So I want to ask, what is my situation? Of course, I've submitted the progress report. So I just want to have a clarity of what is happening. Thank you very much.
Okay, so if GS pays for 2 years of your master's, so if you've only received one payment and you are due for a second payment this year, and you've already submitted your progress report, your renewal is only due the first month you got your first initial payment. So if we made payment in your account on the 1st of May, then your next renewal is in May.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So when was your first payment?
Well, I tried lazy because I was paid in 2020, but I came in 2021 and I started receiving payment from March 2021 actually. So
okay, so you should be due for a renewal this month.
Oh, okay. Then
yes.
Is there any message I'm supposed to get to know that okay, everything is fine, or I should just
once your annual progress once your progress report has been approved by our director, we will send you the FinPG1 form to complete with your banking details, and the money we will process the monthly payments as from the 25th of March.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, moderator.
Okay. That's very great now. So I think from March, so you should see this happen, in a natural way. But if not, her office is a very beautiful office, and she's also a very welcoming person. check them and, intimate them with your, what's it called now, with your situation. And I think they are more than ready to assist. So, okay, we still have one more, please. So this is money matter. I told you, please, we have one more question, and it has to do with, thank you, madam, for the wonderful presentation. 4IR scholarship, it's okay. I don't get to, like, 4IR scholarship is very relevant to my research, but my admission came late January after closing this. Can I still apply? So that's from Henry. Okay, he said 4IR scholarship is very, very important to his research, but unfortunately, he came late, my admission came late January, like after the 4IR is closed. So he's saying, can he still apply for the scholarship now?
Unfortunately, we've already done with the shortlisting, so we've sent it to the faculty for final review, and then we'll only be doing the awarding. So unfortunately, it's already closed for the 2022 academic year, and I'm not sure if you will be still able to apply for 2023, as we only take first-year students only.
Oh. Well, so that's the information. So like whether it's pleasant or not, information is always the power. So like it's closed for the year. So and we hope you'll be able to apply for the coming ones, because from what she said, she said, I mean, the 2023 application, is also for the first year. So we also want to thank you. In absence of any other question, do we still have people raising up their hands? Let me check. I don't think so. I'm not too sure. It's on that note that I want to take this privilege on behalf of the ESCOL, the entire body of Nigerian students on the campus of University of Johannesburg. We want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your informative presentation. Thank you for your attention to details of what we need and what you need to tell us. Thank you so much, Ms. Palesa. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. We are very grateful. So sorry, just 1 minute. Okay, so we are having thank you from the what's it called now? The chat box. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Can I please be excused?
Thank you so much. Yes, you can be excused now. Every other thing should be directed to the table of Mr. President, and you hear from us. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. We are very grateful. Thank you. And that is that about that. It has been an awesome time. So that was Ms. Palesa, who has come to give us a whole lot of information about scholarship funding, bursaries, when, how to apply, and what to do in case we had issues, or we had one thing or the other, clarification or any other thing. And I hope that is as much as it has been sorted now. So like in case of any other thing that is not discussed here in all of these things that we have said, I think the best place to go is the Ankanya building, so where the postgraduate building is. So just check up with them, and every other thing we need will be granted us. I hope we are having a very good time. Please, I need to know if you are having a very good time. So it can just be yes, it can be Tombob, it can be it can be thank you, it can be yes, it can. So let's just have that before we bring in our the next speaker. So before we bring in the next speaker, so please, we need to know if the program is impactful. We need to know if you are enjoying it. We need to know if we are making sense at all. You understand? And so we just need to hear from all of us that so this is what we sign up for. This is what we want to get. So information is power, and we are getting it right now. So I wouldn't know if the president of international students, I mean the rep of the president of international students is around now. So like we can just take him or her, and before we move to the next presentation, and that will be our last presentation for today.
No, sir.
We have him now, Mr. President?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, that's very good. So like we are moving on to the next next item on our grid right now, and that is, how do we even see life beyond UJ? You know, so like, is everything we have come to do, yes, we are in South Africa, but is everything we have come to do in South Africa or UJ are designed to be limited to UJ or South Africa? So we want to discuss beyond UJ opportunities. We have discussed SLB, GES, a whole lot of all of these monies and stuff like that. But yeah, we want to discuss beyond UJ opportunities. And the topic is about beyond the University of Johannesburg. Just beyond the University of Johannesburg, we want to start thinking outside the box. We want to start, you know, having this global mindset. We want to start reshaping our mindset. We want to start, you know, collaborating with people outside the walls of UJ, outside the walls of South Africa. And I have the privilege to bring to you no other person who I have trusted with discussions like this over the time, and he has proven that he understands what he's doing, and he's always very ready to bring these things to us as a brother. You understand now, he will just go to the historical part of all of these patterns and make everything become very clear. I'm speaking of no other person other than Dr. Kingsley Ukoba. Dr. Kingsley has been a friend of the house, is our mentor, is our brother, is our, and he's coming up now to let us know that beyond UJs, what are the opportunities that we have out there. I want you to join me in welcoming Dr. Kingsley. Thank you so much, sir.
Greetings, everybody. It's a privilege to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, it's a privilege to be here. I want to appreciate the members for it. I count it a great privilege, and thank you to everyone that have joined in this program to make it worth it. So without much ado, I want to stand on the existing protocol. I was mandated to speak on beyond the University of Johannesburg, thinking outside the box. So the outline of my presentation, I just do a brief introduction about UJ, our coming to UJ, and then I'll take it from there. To the slide of Nigerians in South Africa, Mr. President.
With you, sir.
The third slide. The next one. So as Nigerians in UJ, or every one of us that are listening to this symposium, Nigerians in South Africa, basically you have those that are into academics and those that went to South Africa for business or other purpose. But my presentation is structured for the academics or the people in South Africa, University of Johannesburg students in particular, that went to South Africa for study or postdoctoral research or for academic pursuit. The next slide, please. So the reason some of us went to South Africa basically is, one, because of we needed funding with our studies. Probably you did your master's, your undergraduate in Nigeria, and you needed, the burden was too much for you financially. You decide to look for options, and South Africa was able to accommodate that. And then we also believe of our friends or people that mentors or people that we follow also told us that there's opportunity for us to build capacity while studying in South Africa. And also some told us there is also career growth, and probably South Africa is a home for greener pastures. Whatever be the options that made you to go to South Africa, probably the option is also not included in this place. I welcome you to South Africa. And one thing I want to say, if you're already a student, probably you don't have funding yet. The funding has been discussed by Ms. Palesa. There are things you need to do. One, If you think UJ is basically just to study and get a degree, I want to encourage you that you should look beyond that too. You should use your stay as a student to also build capacity, learn new skills, develop new competence that will be able to afford or increase your growth in your career. And maybe when you also want to search for greener pasture elsewhere, it will also help you. The next slide. Next slide, please. So probably at the end of your program, because my discussion is beyond UJ, at the end of your program, you have 3 options plus X. Option 1, probably you want to return back to Nigeria. Option 2, you want to stay behind in South Africa. And then the third option, you want to search for another country, or you want to search for jobs elsewhere beyond South Africa. These are some of the options that are available. There might be other, but for the purpose of this presentation, I decided to list these 3 options. But I will be discussing mainly on the third one, which is probably searching for another country. A few weeks ago, at the beginning of this year, a lot of things were circulated concerning permanent residents and the rest in South Africa. There was modification in it. That have made a lot of people that were thinking initially of staying behind in South Africa to start to have a rethink. If you're among those group of people, I think this presentation will benefit you. Next slide, please. So this is the map of Africa by your left. Then the center one, the map was rotated. And facing it, the last picture is a shotgun, a pistol. We were thinking one day, we were discussing among us in SMO lab, the Mechanical Engineering Science department, and this thought came to our mind that the map of Africa, you can see, I decided to use the one that have all the flag of the countries. Nigeria is positioned in a way that we are the trigger points in the map of Africa. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can
Okay,
hear you from
thank
my
you.
end.
So Nigeria, if you compare with the pistol, is positioned to be the trigger point in Africa. Nigeria and a bit of Cameroon, and then South Africa, which is at the tip, is supposed to be the nozzle where the bullet comes out from. What does it mean in perspective when you put it in perspective? What it means is that most of us that are in South Africa, we are short from Nigeria to South Africa. South Africa is supposed to be the exit point where we blow, not supposed to be our final destination. For most of us, it can be final destination for some people, but the way it is structured, we were supposed to build competence and develop from South Africa, and then we blow to the rest of the world. Now, you might see it from a different perspective, but I've decided to structure my presentation using this method of thinking outside the box. So, next slide, please. If you align with this philosophy, it means you are ready to chill with the big boys. You are ready to jackpot probably at the end of your program, your studies, or your postdoc in South Africa. Next slide, please. Now, if you are ready to be blown, there are 2 options. You can be blown to the outside of the continent of Africa, or probably you still want to search for greener pasture within the continent of Africa. There are a whole lot of opportunities, but sometimes information that you know may be trivialized, but other people might not know or be aware of such information. So within Africa, if you are looking to get greener pasture, Kenya, if you are someone that believes in making policies or influencing policies, if you are someone that believes that you want to work with multinationals, with like the United Nations or some other organizations that you have targeted, or the ones that you don't even know about, Kenya should be your point of call, because bulk of the headquarters of these multinationals in Africa are domiciled in Kenya. Now, if you are looking to pursue or to start a career in academics, as a faculty member or a researcher, Botswana and Namibia, and then Uganda, they offer prospects for ahead Botswana and Namibia, that the opportunity are there, and I think the pay are still a bit of okay. And then if it's South Africa, you're also looking to probably start your journey or build your final destiny in South Africa, you can start looking at South Africa investors is structured in a way that you have those that are ethically marginalized universities and the ones that are in the top, or what you know as the big boys. So when you see things like UT, for instance, TUT that is in Pretoria, you have VUT that is in Val, you have DUT. Those are good universities. That's universities of technology. Those are universities that you can start sending your emails to faculties or to their human resources, and you'll be surprised at what you get from it. But if you really want to shield with the bigger boys, then you can start looking outside of Africa, continents like Europe, countries like USA, Canada, then continent of Asia like Japan, China, and the rest of it, or probably even the Middle East. A lot of people are going to UAE, they're going to Saudi Arabia. There are King Sahad University in Saudi Arabia. Those are good universities that are open if your resume or your CVs or your credentials are they are well recognized. You can give those people a shot. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So the previous slide, you just stay on this slide, please, but I will just talk about the previous slide. Oftentimes, it's always good that you build a mental picture of what you want. For instance, you have it in mind that you want to go to a certain country. It's always good that you build a mental picture of what you want, and so that it will help to form the big picture for you. So the previous slide that we passed, I put in the pictures of different countries' passport. So that you know, for the United States, their passport is blue. For Canada, it's a bit of purple or dark blue. You know, not this slide, please. Oops. Australia, depend on which of the country you're going to. They have the colors of the passport. It will do you a bit of, it will help if you have idea of the color, and it will be motivating that someday you're going to get that passport. So now to this, to the next slide. Yes, thank you. What item to consider when you are searching for other countries that you want to go to? Now, it is pertinent that as you're coming from Nigeria, the thing in your mind, and after having acquired a postgraduate study, that is good that you get a place that will treat you better. So the first thing you should consider is that, in no particular order though, now, the country you want to go to, will they allow you to transition from permanent resident to citizen with your critical skill? Because if you studying PhD and at the end you graduate, it is believed that the global population, that the people that have PhD are not up to 10% of the total population of the world. So it means that all over the world, people that have PhDs they belong to the critical skill. So it's always better that when you're looking for a country to go to, that you look out for a country that will be able to afford you with your PhD, or probably the master that you have obtained, will be able to give you the room to transition into citizenship. And then if you are business-minded, probably you came to do honors or PhD or something on business related, or you even in the field of science, engineering, technology, and you're planning of what you have studied, you want to turn it into a business enterprise. Will that country allow you to be able to do business with ease without any form of victimization as a second citizen, or as someone that is not originally from that country? What are the level of racism that country experiences? Are they friendly and conducive? And in some countries, like Denmark, for instance, Denmark is a very good country that have a good pay package. But if you look at Denmark, their tax is very high. So that usually discourages people from not going to countries like Denmark. And then what are the support for people that accompany you, your dependents, probably your parents, your siblings, or for those that intend to marry or those that are married, will they allow your children? What are the support they offer for your family? These are the things you should consider before you sit down to plan what is your next line if you decide or if you live in South Africa. One other thing I must say, don't go with the bad wagon. For the father, your friend is going to Canada or going to Cameroon or wherever, and they are making it there, does not mean you will make it there. You need to first of all study yourself, your skills, your competence, and what you want before you choose your country that you want to migrate to. Next slide, please. Now, for most countries, they move first from, they therefore will give you permanent residence before you transition to be a full-blown citizen of that country. As a Nigerian, you are allowed to have dual citizenship. In some countries, they will allow you more than, they will allow you to keep your original citizenship. While for some cases, you will have to swear oath of allegiance and the rest, like the US, for instance. So for people that are planning of becoming politicians in future in Nigeria, your dual nationality is okay, but it will work against you if the country that you obtain the second citizenship with require or stipulate that you swore oath of allegiance. Nigeria will not allow you to hold any office because you're not supposed to swear oath of allegiance to any other country apart from that country that you want to represent. So these are the processes by which you obtain your permanent resident status vis-a-vis citizenship. One, by birth. If you are born in some countries, automatically you obtain citizenship, while for some, the citizenship is not automatic. You have to wait a period of time before you apply for it. If you're born in countries, in some countries like United Kingdom, for instance, they will not allow you to get citizen automatically. You still have to wait for a period of time before you obtain it. Then another way that you obtain permanent resident status or citizenship is by investment. In some countries, they allow you to invest by buying properties or owning industry or whatever to the tune of certain amount of money. If you're able to provide that and they know your source of wealth is genuine and legitimate, they will give you citizenship or permanent residence depending on the country. The other option is by marriage, and each of the country depend on the type of marriage they allow before they give you citizenship. While for some, it's by skills and the rest. So for some of us, especially for the larger audience of this symposium, our major focus is by skills. And in this case, by your education status. Probably you've obtained master's, you've obtained your PhD. This is part of the options that allow you to obtain your permanent residence or your citizenship. So what it means is that this study that you're doing, you should take it very important because it gives you a Dangote status, if I should put it that way. Because Dangote can just wake up at any day and decide to get the citizen of any country by virtue of the money you have at his disposal to invest. You that is studying in today in South Africa, doing your master's or your PhD, you also like Dangote. If your study, you put in all the effort and you get the things, I'm still going to talk about some of the things you need to be able to bring you to par with this. If you're able to get it, you also have that Dangote status. It means that anytime you can apply to any of these countries and they will accept you as their citizen. So don't allow anybody commonize or trivialize whatever that you're doing as a student, either master's or PhD. Next slide, please. So even the almighty United States of America will give you that option. So I want to start talking about some of these countries. Just because of time, I'll just do a snippet of some of the countries that you may be interested in, and I use it as a case study to relate to others. So migration to the US, obtaining the green card, that's a permanent residence in US, marriage to a US citizen, which is the fastest way. Immigration through family reunification. That one take up to between 9 months and 5 years. You can also decide to seek political asylum in the US. There are processes for it too. Then immigration through extraordinary ability, and then immigration by investment. My focus would be immigration through extraordinary ability. It is not easy for you to do masters and PhD. So it is classified among extraordinary ability if you are able to obtain your PhD. Next slide, please. So in the US, I will just briefly talk about the other routes that you can migrate to US if you are an academician or you're someone that have done your postgraduate and the rest. But there is a visa they call the EB visa, which is the employment based. The E represents employment, B represents based immigrations. They have 5 categories. The 5th one is the one through the investment option for the likes of Dangote and the rest. But I'm not trying to commonize, because I noticed that a lot of people have been exchanging rands to the tune of what. There are rich people too among us, the students. So if you can also use that, good. But for some of us, or majority of us, our interest would be from EB1 to probably EB4. So the EB1 is the number in front of the EB represent the preference. So 1 is first up to 5, 5th, which is the 5th. So EB1, that's the first preference they give for the employment-based immigration. That one is for people with extraordinary ability. Executives, let's say if you have a multinational, you are the executive director, you're executive member of that multinational, and they transfer you from the country you were initially employed, or they employ you straight and they deploy you to US. This is the visa that you'll be applying for. Now for EB2, which is the second preference employment-based immigration, the professionals with advanced degree. This is where bulk of us fall into. That's from master degree for people that have, for the medical professionals, that's occupation related. And then people that have PhDs and master degree will fall into this classification. Why Dr. Okwe was discussing his work, he talked about the need for you to publish. Yes, as an academician, or for some of us, it's true serendipity. We just stumbled into doing our masters and probably going up to PhD. Why for some people is a premeditated act. But whichever route that you have decided, you're already at the bus stop of studying your masters and PhD, it is good that you make the best out of it. What do I mean? You should learn to make publications. Make publications, like publications, journals, again, they are grouped into classes. You have the one they call Q1, Q2, Q3, based on the quantile or the level of their impact factor or their relevance in that particular field that you are in. So the Q1, if you are able to publish in Q1, it gives you more credence. And then if you are also the first author, it also gives you credence. Now, not necessarily first author also counts. Then in any publication you are having, the first and the last authors are usually considered or given more respect, if I should use that word, or more priority. The first author, they believe you engage fully more in the research, while the last author, sometimes they believe you are the one that source for the funding. So whichever route, whichever publications that you are doing, be it a book, be it journal, whatever, it is always good that you target good journals. Don't just as a is it Mr. Doctor? I don't even know. Which I will call him Dr. Kwe for the purpose, just so that I don't insult if he is the doctor and I end up calling him Mr. you should publish. That's just the bottom line of where we aim new citations. Citation is very, yes, these days they tend to like split the book into the chapters and they publish, they do it as if it's a journal. But if I were advice, always publish in a journal or any platform that will earn you a lot of citations. Because this EB, the employment base that I am talking on, that I'm still on before I digress now, is that you need to have a minimum of 10 citations. If you have a minimum of 10 citations, you are eligible to apply for the EB2 employment-based immigration. So what's more, for someone that has a citation of over 50 and the rest of it. So for the EB2, if you're applying, you will need a lawyer. There are different lawyers that are based all over the world, but in the US, if you want, that are willing to help you to make your application. But you need some funds. It's not free. You will pay for the lawyer fees and the rest. And then they will, if you go online at the end of this presentation, you can go online and check your eligibility. They will have, most of them have a free pre-assessment that you can do. You key in what you have into it. Some of them will answer, you send them your CV. But from experience, the major thing they look at for is your citation. If you have a master's degree, from master's degree upward, if the more citations you have, the more your chances. Then if you have patents also, if you have done innovations or novel things and you've gone a step further to patent it, it means that you are among the critical mass of people in the world, the few exceptional ones that are relevant to the development of anywhere you find yourself. This set of people, they are looking for people when they come into the country, they will be able to bring about innovation. They will be able to help to develop the country. So US, Canada, UK, and the rest of it, they are looking for individuals of this category. So they will not know you have all this unless you have proof. And that's why Dr. Boy was saying that you need to publish. If you don't publish, you have a standing and what, nobody will know. It is until you put it out there before people will realize that this is what this person is capable of. Now, from experience, most of the applications that people have made, they will ask for evidence. Evidence of your publication. They will ask for evidence of your outstanding fellowships and awards. For people that have the GES, the URC, the NRF, these are outstanding because you competed against multitude of people, and out of the multitude, your application was deemed fit among the top few. Then during our time, NRF was given to only 50 people in South Africa. So what it means is that for that year, it means you were among the top 50 all over in South Africa that they deemed fit that your application stand out from the rest of people that applied. So you keep them and package them properly in your CV. Your publications, don't just publish in Mushroom, publish in places that will give you opportunity for citations to come. The more citations you amass, the better for you. And then your recommendations also, and then for those that are tech savvy and those that are in engineering, in sciences, any project that you're doing, ensure you have an online archive that you can store them for references. There are some applications that you will make, they will ask you for a link to prove that these things you're saying, it is actually recognized. And it is a platform like that, that you cannot just say by word of mouth that you've done this. What are the proof to show that you have been able to, that you actually have it? Now, I stopped at EB2 for people that have citations from 10 and above, people that have master's degree, PhD, and the rest. For EB3, these are skill workers. Probably you skill in the use of a particular equipment, you skill in a certain areas, and there are evidences to show for it. You can apply for this EB3. All these are form of, the EBs are permanent resident status, while the H1B is for non-immigrant. It's not permanent resident. You can migrate into the country, but you're not having permanent resident status. For people, I know bulk of us understand what permanent residence entail. It means that you have almost full rights as their citizen. It also means that you will not be going through the rigor and the stress and financial burden of having to renew your visa. And then it also means that if you stay in the country for a period of time, you can apply for citizenship. Now, if you have a permanent residence, you are going out of the country. For US, Canada, if you have a permanent residence status, you need to stay a minimum of 3 years out of the 5 years before you are eligible to apply for their citizenship. So these are some of the things you just need to take note. The next slide, please. So this slide, just for those that belong to the big boys, those that have up to 500,000 US dollars, you can apply for the EB5. I listed the 5 EBs and I discussed from 1 to 3 and 4. The 4th one is for employment. Probably you have an employment already in the US, you apply for the EB4. And then the EB5, this is for those that have the funds to be able to invest in the US. It takes time, but for the sake of this presentation, I will not emphasize on it. Next slide, please. Thank you. So most of the countries all over the world, including the top 5 countries, they are willing to take you as their citizens by offering you permanent residence status first before transitioning you into citizenship. If you have a critical skill, PhD is among the critical skill in the world. There are some degrees, depending on the country, that are known as critical skills. Every country have their critical skills that they update regularly. For Canada, most people are aware of it. Canada usually announce skills that are in demand. Australia also do that in a particular province. For Canada, they will tell you they need craftsmen, they need this. They advertise it periodically. But there are some skills all over the world that are known as critical skills. Some of the top countries, they listed STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine, and mathematics, and management, sometimes management, to be among the critical skills. So if your course of study fall into this, you have a master's degree, you can start applying almost immediately. But if your course of study does not fall into this, for some countries like the US, if you have a master's, with a good citations or evidence that you can work in the academia, you can apply for it. But for some that are not listed, you can take it a step further by doing PhD. Mind you, you can check the country you want and see if your course of study is listed among the critical skill. Now, Canada, Australia, Germany, Hong Kong, even Japan are countries that, they are top countries that have been listed as a destination spot for people that are seeking immigrations. Nigerians, if you go to Nigeria Immigration Service, people that are applying for passport now, the queue is very long. It means that a lot of people are running away from the country. So what it means is that you're competing with your fellow Nigerians. That's one. But the bulk of people you're also competing with are the Chinese, the Asians, and the Indians. Chinese and the Indians. And this set of guys, if you see their resume, sometimes some of them can be very intimidating. So what it means is that on a regular basis, there is no room to rest on your oars. You need to constantly improve and develop yourself. There are different routes, depending on your course of study, that you can use to build and develop yourself, so that when you are applying, you will be among the top selected ones. Next slide, please. So if you're seeking for fast citizenship, these are some of the countries that you can instantly look for. Canada, Uruguay, Dominican, Peru, Argentina, and the likes of it. Now, another factor that you should also consider when you're looking for a second citizenship is that where the countries that passport is allowed entry. How many countries will allow you if you are having a passport of that country? For instance, Canada, USA, China, Australia, these countries are allowed entry to a lot of countries without having to go through the stress of applying for visa or visa renewal. Next slide, please. So if you are someone that is interested in, you don't want to continue with the academic line, you want to start doing business, or probably you want to look for employment outside of the academia, these are some of the countries that you can look at: Canada, New Zealand, Singapore, and the rest of it. For most of them, you can move instantly to them through a route that they call the global talent. Most of these countries have the option of the global talent visa. These global talents are like in the UK, Australia, USA, and the rest, just as I've said. They allow you to enter the country for a period of time. Then if you are able to get appointments in that particular field that you have claimed that you are a global skill in for that period while you are there for a period of time, they can now transition you from a permanent resident or from a visa, they transition you to a full-fledged citizen. The UK introduced it, a lot of people, including students from UJ, they've moved to the United Kingdom on this route. For the UK Global Talent Visa, they have different options. You have those that are into tech, people that are into data analysts, people that are web designers, programmers, and the rest of it. That they just need evidence of the work you have done, or businesses or enterprise that have used your services. They need you to send that to them. And with that, you fill the form and pay some amount of money. Within a period of time, you can relocate to the UK with your dependent, your spouse, your children, your mom, and whoever that you list as your dependent. Then Australia also have that. They have different options for it. For the Australia, you therefore do the expression of interest. Or in some cases, Australia have, when they started it initially, there was no need for it, but now it has become compulsory. You must have a nominator. So what some people do is that they go through their professional body. So if you're in engineering, you use your engineering body in Australia or the engineering body in the United Kingdom, they will nominate you. So when they nominate you, it makes it easy for you to go through the system and you get selected. For UK also, for this global talent, if you have certain outstanding awards or fellowship, you don't need to go through the option of getting a nominator. You go through direct. You bypass the nomination and the rest. So if your fellowship or the award that you have is recognized by the United Kingdom, they will automatically put you through into the system and they give you the global talent visa. So you have for countries like Finland, as at last year to now, most Nigerians that are in South Africa are gradually moving to countries like Finland and the rest, because that's a new hotspot destination for Nigeria: Finland, Denmark, China, Japan. So if you're interested, probably you're going to do your postdoc or research related, you can go to these countries. So because of time, let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So if you're looking at securing employment, depend on this slide we talk about, depend on the employment you're looking for. If it is academic positions, the countries are listed. If it's within Africa or outside of Africa. If you are someone, a scientist or a data analyst or an engineer or whatever, that you know how to use a particular equipment or product, these are some of the countries that you can apply to, and you'll be able to get employment with those companies. So you become their product representative. Just as you have salesmen representatives, you become the expert. So for instance, if you're in engineering, you know how to use spin coater very well. You know about the technological know-how of the spin coater, or things like Homer for renewable energy, what. These countries can play host to you, where you go and you become their representative. So doing your master's or PhD does not necessarily mean you end up in a university as a lecturer or researcher. There are a whole lot of opportunities that it can offer you. For some NGOs, that's non-governmental organizations, be it private NGOs or the internationally acclaimed ones like the United Nations, UNEP, and all of it, they require people that have certain level of education, people that have PhD, people that have masters, to be able to be their country representative or to be among the top or mid-level career executive. So if you have PhD or master, it does not necessarily mean you're going to end in the university or the four walls of the university. There are a lot of these slides can guide you to be able to look elsewhere beyond what you currently have as a mindset. Next slide, please. So it is vital that you start preparing this document. Let it be handy so that you start using them to apply a well-prepared curriculum vitae. For Europe, they have a standard CV format they call the Europass or Europass, if I'm not mistaken. So for people that are targeting, where is that coming from?
What is wrong with you?
For people that are targeting to work in places like Europe and the rest, you can start applying. You can download that Europass template and modify it, and then you have letter of recommendation from your previous jobs or people that you have worked or done a project for. Always seek to get recommendation from them, and you store it among. Those are some of the things you put in your document, and then always have in hand your research statement, a well-crafted profile, and other statements that will be vital for you. For proof of job executed, these I used to think initially that is for people that are in the IT or the tech savvy guys. But until recently, I saw something and I realized that it's not only for people that are tech savvy, even for lawyers, business administration, public people, public relation experts, you need to have a portfolio of jobs that you have executed. You need to have them handy. Either you have it stored online with a link or you have them well documented in a PDF format. There are some of the things you will be needing when you're applying to some of these. And there are other documents depending on what you're applying for or what country or area you're looking at for. So it's not exhaustive. This is just to act as a guide. Next slide, please. So when you're applying, the following will come in handy. It's always good to network. And then Dr. Okpe made mention of, made mention during the question and answer session on the need for you to develop friendly atmosphere. It is not oftentimes, I'm going to be a bit blunt, oftentimes for most of us Nigerians, when we leave Nigeria and maybe South Africa is our first point of destination, we tend to be aggressive about things because we've seen that in Nigeria, you need to do prayer and fasting before some things will be done. But in South Africa, it is not like that. And instantly, you want to start engaging that you don't need prayer and fasting. You don't need to be, you leave your home training as a Nigerian that is trained to be respectful. And you want to be aggressive. You want to start behaving like the average citizen that you met in that country that don't believe in negotiation, they believe in using force or coercion to do everything. My brother and sister is not like that. You need to be able to build friendly database of people because this set of people that you have worked with, they will come in handy in securing the next job for you, either directly or the employer that wants to employ you will ask for recommendation from them. So you need to build a good network. Then you need collaborators spread across the globe. For instance, how do you build a collaborator? One of them is probably you reading an article, a publication and the rest, and you find the publication to be within your line. All you need is to send an email to the corresponding author of that. And then you discuss further that probably I'm interested in this area of your work. How can we collaborate and network? These people we add later on. Like one of the guys that got his global talent to Australia, it's two of them, not even one that I know of categorically. What they did was it is people they have collaborated with in the past that acted as a nominator for them. It was those people who are nationals of Australia and in the UK that helped them that gave them the nomination that they needed to get that global talent visa to Australia and to the UK respectively. So your network, your collaborators are very important. And building network and collaborator, you don't have to wait till you obtain your PhD or you are a postdoc. Even a master's student, you can build a network of collaborators and database of people that you can call on, even visit their labs. One other thing I still need to say at this point, because time is of the essence and time is fast spent, is that you as a student, the best time for you to build a good portfolio is when you are a student. Now, all you need to do is that ensure you don't just stay in your lab. Don't just stay or mingle with your supervisor alone. Yes, sometimes you should discuss with your supervisor before reaching out, but you can build other competence and collaborations by sending email to people. Like I know of a friend that did his bench work in a different country. Another did in a different, still within South Africa. Their students have been able to establish a collaboration and network with that person. Tomorrow, he or she can still reach out to that person to ask or to give a word or to be a springboard for them. So in all of these things, we need to be able to learn the art of negotiation. We also need to be able to know how to maintain our network and collaborators. Normally, the rule of relationship, just like network collaboration, is that to start it is very easy. You see everybody being nice, but sustaining it most time matters. And you need a sustained network or collaborations to be able to excel in this line that you are tolling. And then these are websites, Indeed, LinkedIn. Those are websites that you can use to look for job, depend on the country or area you're looking for. Another route that I've worked for people that got postdoc, another thing is direct email. If you see a man or probably from the university website that you think you can work with or a company, you can send them an email directly. But there is also a rule or a process to getting this. Sometimes you can send millions of emails, they will not respond. Why some that have understand and mastered the craft, they send one email and they get response. So there's a process to getting all of these things. And just as Dr. Okpe said, you cannot just, Rome was not built in a day. You have to consciously engage and start it. You will fail, you try, you will fail, you fail, and until you eventually will get it. If you send 1 million, you only need just one to be able to get what you want. So no harm in trying, you don't quit, then you get it. So thank you so much. I appreciate the next slide. I appreciate the opportunity to give this talk. Pardon the environment pardon whatever inconveniences that you may have experienced. The essence is, I believe in the multitude of this message, you may have just picked one word. It might just be one thing that will be beneficial to you. All you need is just one idea or one word. If you are able to act on it, it will give you the desired goal. Thank you so much for the time.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Kisling. So just as I said that, so you have always been around here and you have always been resourceful at any time. But if you want to code this that you have just heard now, so if you want to code it, as a master's student, also you can call it JAPA 873, JAPA 801. So this is JAPA code. So so we want to thank you once again for what you have done. Thank you so much. Just before we take people that will come and give us, give the vote of thanks on behalf of the Consuj. So I will like to have people who have one question or the other, please. And we want to do that in a very short time because we are 32 minutes above our scheduled time for today. Please, if you have any question as regards to all of these things, we'll just be able to take 2 or 3 questions. Other questions will be attended to. If you have as many as, just drop them, but the first 2 or 3 questions will be attended to. Other ones will be sent to Dr. Kisling and you will receive the replies. But for the sake of this meeting, we will not be able to take more than 2 or 3 at most. Please, if you have any question, now is the time to ask, because I wouldn't know if you don't want to jump about me. I want to jump, and Dr. Kisling is my boss, so I'll be seeing him personally. I really do not want to extend the time of this meeting. I'll be seeing him like in camera, like one-to-one, like yeah, so that's my thing. And okay, so I want to assume that we don't have people with questions, as I cannot see any hands up or any question in the chat box. So let me assume we don't have any question now. So we have crammed everything. Somebody was saying that there are 2 things Nigerians can cram: the description to travel out and how to make money. So, and we also want to apologize to every single person for the time that we have spent here. We are in the business of, you know, developing ourselves together. So, and any time we have spent here, even though it is extended, which we are very sorry for, we want to believe it is a time that is worth, you know, whatever thing we are getting here. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And in the absence of any question, I want to take this time to, okay, can you mail the sessions to us? Yes, all of these things will be sent to our email. The presentation is with President already, so all of these things will be sent to our email. That is more reason why you need to fill the Consuj membership form. If you have filled that form, you know, the membership form that was, you know, this Google form that was circulated this other time. So you have to fill it and make sure that we have your email in our database. If we have that, it is always very easy for you to get information from us at all time. All of the presentation we had in this symposium will be sent to us like in a very short time. So on behalf of the organization, I want to thank Dr. Kingsley for what you have done. And I have the privilege to call on the treasurer and the general secretary of our prestigious association, that is Consuj, I'll be calling on Mr. Olumuyiwa Amushon, who is the general secretary of this association, and Mr. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay,
everyone.
and I'll also be calling on, I think it is you and Mr. Dadolawale that are to, you know, hold this session, which is vote of thanks, after which we will then round up everything.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I believe you can all hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we want to sincerely appreciate all the presenters since yesterday and of course to today for a well thought out presentation. We want to say that all these presentations will be sent to our respective emails, and of course it's going to be made available on the Consuj WhatsApp page and on the Consuj Telegram page also. And of course, with respect to the bulletins that was shared yesterday, that was scrolled yesterday, we're going to make it available on the respective platforms. We just want to seize this opportunity to thank Mr. Akinladewo, the first presenter for today, for his well thought out presentation on the process to publication, how to extract your publications from your thesis, and of course for undergraduates on how they can think. It's gonna start thinking about how to be a good researcher from now on. Also, we want to sincerely thank Ms. Palesa from the PG School for taking us through the various bursary and scholarship hands available for us, vis-a-vis the UJ Mary bursary, the UJ SLB bursary, the UJ Commonwealth, the HRC, the NRF, First Round International, and a couple of other bursary available. I believe each and every one of us have been able to seize one opportunity that we're going to apply to. Also, we want to sincerely appreciate Dr. Kingsley for his presentation, and we sincerely appreciate him for taking out time. As a matter of fact, Dr. Kingsley was actually busy today, but he had to cancel his schedule today to make sure that he is fully on set for this presentation. We thank you so much we thank you so much for that. We thank you for making us to see the procedures or the processes that we can, the opportunities that we can use to think outside the map, within Africa and outside Africa, and the considerations for this movement, either within Africa or outside Africa. We thank you so much. We thank you. We also talked about the different immigration opportunities to different countries, particularly to USA and of course to other European countries. We want to seize this opportunity to thank you so much for that. And on behalf of the entire Nigerian students in South Africa, we thank you. We thank all our participants here. We thank all our participants yesterday also. We thank all our participants that are here also. And I want to seize this opportunity to tell every one of us to be resolute in our goal that we are here to pursue, stay focused, and try as much as possible to be good members of Consuj, and together we will move Consuj forward and we will redeem the image of Nigeria that has been somehow battered in several international sphere. We will redeem it together for good. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Olumuyiwa Abusho, for that awesome vote of thanks. And we also want to take this time to thank every single person who has been with us since yesterday. Sorry, I was a bit distracted by the question of the person that said please, I need to link to the Google form. I need a link to the Google form or something. So, but okay, we will share it in the. I'm not too sure if you are in our WhatsApp group, you must have come across it. But if not, I am very sure that the executive will reshare the link now, so that you make your registration. Thank you so much for that. So I want to take this time to appreciate every single person that has been here since yesterday. Thank you for your time, and it's been an awesome time, since yesterday. Turned out, yeah, can be better, but it's a very good one, and we are very grateful for you to be around here. If we plan all of these things and they are very beautiful and top notch, and you did not come, we will not have any reason to do it anymore. So we are your availability, your presence has been the the backbone of everything we are doing here. So we are encouraged to do more because you encourage us to do more. Thank you so much for that. And as we close the symposium today, so I wouldn't know if President has something to just chip it and as an information or as a bye-bye discussion, or sorry, bye-bye message or something before we now take our national pledge and say bye-bye finally. Mr. President, do we have anything from you, sir?
No, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Shegun. Thank you for being our host today and yesterday. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you. On behalf of the Executive Council, we want to say thank you to you too. Thank you for scheduling today out of your busy schedule, because you told me everything. We are very, very grateful, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you so much for that. And with that, we've come to the end of our symposium for this time, the one that is scheduled to shed more light on so many informative things we need to, thrive in the land of South Africa, particularly in the University of Johannesburg. And with that, I want to say we need to take the national pledge as we all sign out. I still remember myself, Olusegun Ajayi. So let's take the national pledge now as we sign out. At the count of 3, we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest. Serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity, and to uphold our honor and glory. So help me God. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Please, can we switch on the camera just to take a snap?
Okay.
We log out.
So, but please, one more thing, please. We are like 30. So we are 30 here. So we were very more like 40 or something before now. But right now we are 30. Please, I would just want every one of us to write, something about the experience of this symposium. Oh, the symposium is good. The symposium is great. The symposium was impactful. Please, let's drop it as a comment on our WhatsApp or on our Telegram. We need people who are not here, not just to be jealous, but for them to understand that the 2 days have not been wasted. Please, we just need you. And if you're not on that WhatsApp group, just talk to the president now, talk to the treasurer, so they are always very here to assist us at all times. Please, we need we need us to comment about the symposium. Just on the WhatsApp group, on the list, let's comment that it's great, it is impactful. So let's comment. It will go a longer way to talk about.
Hello, Mr. Ajayi. Hello, Mr. Ajayi. Can you hear me? It's Banjo here. Mr. Ajayi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please, some of us are not on WhatsApp page and we are asking from the chat box, how can we join?
Okay. Mr. President, can we copy the link? Is it possible we copy the link and drop it here right now?
Are they on the Telegram page?
Are you on the Telegram page?
No.
So
but you got the email from Consuj today.
Yes, I got the email, but the first time when I form, I might have filled the form that I'm not using for the WhatsApp group. I mean, for the WhatsApp.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is, as long as you got the email, we'll send the link to everybody for the Telegram page, and also including all the videos and presentations today.
All right, thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you so
much. Thank you.
Please, let's switch on our camera so that we can take a group picture, so to say.
So much, everybody. Thank you for coming. So with that, we come to the end.